Welcome back to another episode. Just always want to give a friendly reminder to like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. What we want to talk about today is Michigan and Detroit Lions coming off. Both solid victories. Nothing spectacular. I'd say they, probably could execute a little bit better. But all in all, got the job done on both sides, or oh yeah, both teams respectively. We'll talk about those games and also talk about some big time matchups they also have, both, night games, prime time, on the road. So we'll talk about how, they need to show up to, yeah, be successful and get some big wins on the road. But yeah, first let's talk about Michigan and how they handled Wisconsin pretty easily. But I'll kick it over to you, Ian. Just want to see your thoughts on this past Saturday's game.
For sure. Yeah. We talked about this before we hopped on. I think that Michigan game was just a cool game. Slightly underwhelming. We handled business, but it wasn't flashy. Nothing that's going to
Yeah.
make Sports Center top 10 or have the group chat blown up. But just a very solid win. I would have liked to potentially see a little more separation. Just as far as I don't think Wisconsin is all that formidable, but needless to say, 14-point win. We seemed like we were kind of cruising through a lot of it, just kind of playing keep away. They went right down the field on us, 7 points. After that, really kind of dead in the water until a late field goal. So I think we very soundly had the game in hand, but overall, just kind of a bit of an underwhelming game. But I'm glad to see even an underwhelming, not so crazy performance, we can still come out with a 14-point double digit win.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I mean, I think, I agree with a lot of that. And I feel like yeah, I mean, I think we just handled them, for the most part. You definitely would have liked, and it's funny you can say both these things. Like, you probably would have liked for the old line to block a little bit better, but they still ran for 170 yards. Had a lot of drop passes, but Bryce still threw for like 260. There's just a lot of that to where, kind of like what the Lions are doing right now, as we'll, talk about them here in a second, or eventually here, but just finding ways to get the job done, but not fully executing. And yeah, just using an opportunity to get better and, hopefully it can build off those mistakes, going into on this matchup, with USC. But yeah, Haynes, real deal. Defense is coming into its own. Secondary is playing a lot better. Good seeing Zeke Berry back, Jair Hill. They play pretty well. And yeah, we'll see what they got this upcoming week.
yeah, no, just to get kind of single out some of the things you said. I mean, Bryce Underwood, 270, one touchdown, no picks, pretty damn clean game from him. Something I'm kind of eyeing. Not that it's the end of the world, but just kind of the quarterback standard. You really want that 60% completion percentage, and he's hovering at like 59 point something percent. It's been ticking up. That Oklahoma game knocked him down because I think he was like 9 of
Like
24
8 to
something in that
24.
game.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. You take that outlier out, his stats, it's very healthy. But even with that being said, he's still hovering around 60%. I think just
Yeah.
as the season goes along, you want to see that continue to compound. In the
Probably,
19 to
and probably
28,
like 10 drops thrown in
also
there
true.
too.
Yeah, very true. So that's definitely gonna kind of shift those stats a little bit. But 19 to 28 versus a real Big Ten defense. I mean, hey, we would have sold our soul for a 19 to 28 270-yard touchdown game last year.
Sure.
So looking at that, and then kind of just we missed a field goal in there. So I mean
Yeah.
that'd be
Yeah.
27-17. Sorry, 27-10 if we did that. So you can kind of see some margin of errors in there where, yeah, I not to skip too far ahead, but I don't feel comfortable missing a field goal versus USC this upcoming weekend.
Right.
I want to get every point we can get, every point, every extra point. I wish the commentators would stop talking about how damn good this kicker is because I think they are purposely jinxing him. So many,
Yeah.
so much so that they might have to stop saying it because he's missed so much. They can't say he's damn near perfect. So just all things that I think the team is. We're not a young team for Saban, we're a team that is still trying to figure out who's the alphas in what positions and how we are going to kind of approach each game. Or, are we a complete smash mouth? Or are we going to let kind of Bryce aerate it out a little bit? And I think a game like this help build a little confidence. And then, going on the road to USC, I guess I want to see how you feel about it. But, Lincoln Riley needs this one. He would love a little signature, very similar to Nebraska. They want a signature Michigan win under their belt. We stole one from them last year as far as they're concerned. What would we get out there with like 47 passing yards or something ridiculous? So
30 yards on
tables are
13
turned.
attempts.
We're going on the road this week, 5.5 hours out west to the Coliseum. I guess kind of what are your thoughts? What do we need to do to get a victory? And how comfortable are you feeling about it?
Got to play Michigan football. I mean, this is really, like you said, there's a lot on the line, for them. I think Lincoln Riley's really been looking for a statement, a statement victory since coming into the Big Ten. Been doing a decent amount of losing since coming into the Big Ten. So there's a lot really like riding on this game. And I think this is where it's, in scenarios where that beat Ohio formula, is something that you can definitely put to the test in situations like this. Like, this is like one of those like, battle of different elements, where Michigan, they like to run the ball and control the clock and, play strong defense where, USC likes to, air it out, and kind of get into shootouts and not always have the greatest defense. So running the ball, keeping it, third and short, third and medium, letting Bryce use his legs, have some opportunities where he's going to have to complete some passes, on maybe third and long here and there to extend some drives, push the ball downfield, make some plays, use his legs doing so. And I want to run the ball 35, 40 times, really just impose the will to where when it gets to the fourth quarter, essentially make them quit and and it'll be kind of like a neutral site home game feel to it as well. So I think that'll make a difference in in the environment like this. That's something that's kind of rare in the Big Ten as well too. So I think that will play a factor as well.
Yeah, no, I believe we're going to travel very well out in USC. When I traveled out to LA years ago, I happened to be at the airport with my Michigan shit on, and it was like I was walking to the airport in Ann Arbor or something. I was getting Go Blues literally every like 100 yards. So
Yeah.
very very heavy deep fan base out there. I agree with that. And then I know we didn't talk about this at all, and I actually was going to throw this in the group chat with you and James. Have you heard about us practicing out in California at the Chargers facility?
I haven't, but that's
We are. Yeah. So we are Jim Harbaugh / Chargers gave us permission to practice there Friday.
yeah. I know we're
So
going. I know we're
the
showing
team
up
is leaving
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're leaving Thursday, and then we're going to practice there Friday. I don't know about Thursday either, but maybe definitely Friday is what I read for sure. And I guess kind of thoughts on if that would make a difference. Obviously teams are going to find a way to practice somewhere, whether they're in a parking lot, whether they're at some local JUCO, or obviously teams are going to find a way to get together and practice. But just kind of
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think, you're gonna it's gonna be like it's comfortable. It's gonna be like being at home. You know what I mean? I'm sure Harbaugh gonna have the staff and everything in there, walk open arms. Might have an old strength coach, just kind of, just give him a little workout, just
Maybe
for
Jesse
turn the
Minter
clocks
can sit
back.
down.
Yeah, we can have defensive analyst Messi Genter, on the sideline, just
Yeah. No. So yeah, something I read this week. I thought it was kind of interesting. But no, I look at this USC game. I watched them play the entire Michigan State game. Should have just took my butt to bed, but stayed up and watched that to like whatever 1:45 in the morning or whatever that was a couple weeks ago. And I watched a solid quarter of that Illinois game. And USC is one of them teams where I think because of the coach and their lineage, and they're getting some good players in there, they do kind of put a little fear in you. But
yeah,
I truly, I don't think they're better than Nebraska. I know they're not better than Oklahoma. And I'm looking at who they played. Missouri State, laughable. Georgia Southern, laughable. Purdue, State, lost to Illinois. So I'm looking and I'm like, hey, we've been through the gauntlet with Oklahoma on the road already. We've been through the gauntlet on the road in Nebraska.
Nebraska.
They went out to Purdue. I
And
mean,
look what Nebraska did. You look what Nebraska did to State.
and look what Nebraska did to State. And very same score game. 35 45 30 no 45 to 31. That's all, same score.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that, and they looked like they were gashing State. They were running right down the throat. I just feel very confident that's not the formula to beat us. So I think they're going to have to kind of keep it on the outside. So that kind of puts it all back in our court. Kind of like you said, pound the rock, establish Michigan football, establish dominance. I want a lot of high third down conversion rate. Keep that third and, let's say, stop for 4. So we can have some Bryce to be able to keep it still. So we can still run it off and have that dynamic where you don't know exactly what we're doing, keeping them on their heels. Continue to work in. I'm blanking on the guy's first name, but Marsh.
Jordan Marshall or Andrew Marsh. I'm sorry,
Andrew Marsh. Yeah, I was gonna call him Nick, but that's the State kid. Yeah, Andrew Marsh. Keep working in him. McCulley seems to hit his stride a little bit. I love that, bringing on that pass, hitting the safety or the corner, bouncing off of him, running to the end zone.
Yeah.
Those are big time plays. Those
Get
are
the
plays
tight ends going too. Yeah.
Yeah, and get Klein going. So I think we know the formula that we have to do. I think it's really going to come down to establishing that line of scrimmage, keeping that third down under, let's say, 3rd and 4, where we can keep the run or pass element, allowing Bryce to open it up a little bit, whether that's run or passing more, just kind of help him stay involved.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I'll say, and might be the biggest key of all of this, defensively, we have to tackle. We have to tackle. A lot of them miss. We had 2 or 3 misses behind the line of scrimmage versus Wisconsin that I think could kill us versus USC. A couple of broke tackles downfield versus some receivers. They were just too clunky and slow to do anything with it. You can do that versus USC kids. That might be 50.
House call.
Yeah. So we know we have to do offensively. That's the same game plan. I don't care who we're playing, whether it's the Detroit Lions we're playing that week, or whether it's Michigan State or Ohio. We know we're doing offensively. Defensively, we got it. We got to clean up that sound tackling. And I personally think, you and James and us talk about that, I think we are sending the house probably a little too much with these young guys back there. And I don't, as much as I love them 6 sacks games versus Nebraska, I don't know if that's the recipe for. Yeah, you can get a 6 sack game and still fuck around and lose if they have 400 passing yards, because it's real feast or famine. But that's kind of my high and low of how I'm feeling about this game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I mean, I look at this team. I feel like USC, they're kind of like a B tier, like Ohio. Like, they're gonna have some guys on the outside, but they're not gonna be as good in the trenches. And I think we should be, better in the trenches, more improved. We have been a little bit more battle tested, like you said, than them. Um, and yeah, so I think you can go ahead and just kind of do some score predictions here. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to 30, yeah, 30 to 23. I think it'll be one of those where it might be a little bit back and forth. They might, kind of be up on us, like, a score or such for a little bit. But I think over time, we'll start to kind of wear on them and lean on them. Haynes break a big run, get a few stops and just kind of shut their water off, mid fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm actually right about there with you. I'm thinking like, I really am thinking your score, but somewhere right in that ballpark, 30 to 24, maybe 30, 23. Like you said, I do think they're going to be to put up a little bit of points on us, and it's really going to come down to, as I've said it 100 times, just hitting that 30-point big game number there and allowing that defense, because it's such a key. If you can hover in that upper 30, that means the other team's going to have to put that ball up, have to pass. Our defense can lock into what they do best, pin the mirrors back and get after it. So no, I'm feeling that right too. And then we'll be marching on to what? That'll be 5-1. Heading on to Washington after that. And I think, obviously we got to move forward here, but you get past this one, you got Washington, Maryland, Ohio. I mean, it really comes down to you get past this one, you got 3 games that decide whether probably really 2 games, but 3 games, let's call it, to decide whether you're a playoff team or not.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm feeling pretty damn good about it, man. Just kind of let the coach settle in. His another game back in for him, and just keep letting Bryce get busy, man. I'm liking his development. I would like to see a couple more touchdown passes, but that's just selfish, just to see some higher numbers. As far as
Yeah. I mean,
really what he's doing, I'm happy about it.
I think he's doing a great job managing the game. We're gonna get inside the 10. They're gonna be running that ball, slamming up the middle, really to just that's kind of just how they operate. But I think he's doing a fantastic job, getting that ball around, getting through the first, second, third progression. I mean, I'm not gonna get on that train now. We're gonna move on to the Lions. But yeah, this will be a good kind of, maybe a little good coming out party for him as well. So we'll see what he's got in store for us too. But yeah, no, we'll switch over here to the Lions. They played the Bengals. Joe Burrow's Bengals, but hey, in the NFL, a lot of crazy things can happen. You're not going to apologize for any victory. So yeah, I thought what they were able to do. They came out, set the tone from the jump. I thought the defense really showed out. I mean, he put some. I mean, he was throwing balls to the our defense like they were receivers, but once again did a great job of capitalizing, on that. I mean, it was good to see, Hutch had a big game, and only had a big game. Derek Barnes had a big game. Um, Offense did what they always do. Yeah, what'd you think about the Bengals, the matchup against the Bengals Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, one of the games where you looked at, I think we said this before, but let's roll the clock back a month. We're sitting there scared to death of the Ravens, scared to death of the Chiefs, not to death, but scared of the Bengals. And it's kind of one of the things where just as the wear and tear of the season goes on, you never know what uh, version of what team you're going to get. And so you got to come to play. You got to come
Yeah,
to play regardless. ESPN trying to feed some damn ads here. My
so
bad.
what?
You just never know what version of what team you're going to get. But you got to take care of business regardless, week to week. And I think that's exactly what we're doing here. And yeah, I mean, yeah, he gifted us the ball. What was it? Ended up being 3 times. Didn't with 3? It wasn't overly sexy. We didn't drop 50 on him like we was. Just a very sound victory. Kind of,
Hmm.
everybody kind of ate. We really kind of featured Montgomery coming back home, letting him throw a touchdown, letting him. I think he had like another 80 yards or something on the ground. So just kind of keeping him, everybody happy. Everybody's eating. We're progressing along, and one of the games where, like I said, you never know what version of what team you're going to get, but we got another dub and just kind of marching along. I'm feeling pretty good about the squad, and
Yeah,
just kind of Tate Riley's held his own again. Talik Williams looking good still. We're very positive signs for just kind of the after that first kind of break quarter of the season. A lot of
yeah.
positive.
No, definitely. I like too, like, even on offense, able to, have Montgomery bounce back game, do back in Ohio. Laporta, he had like 95 yards and a touchdown. I think this is his first time. I think Brock Wright, some other other tight ends, might have scored already before he has. So it was nice to see him just kind of have a nice game. This shows how many weapons, this
Yes,
team
yes.
has. Jameson Williams been a little quiet the last couple of weeks. It might be his turn to shine. As we play, I got Kansas City coming up here, but they always got Mr. Consistent. Around St. Brown, 8 catches, 100 yards, just extending drives, just making plays, middle of the field, underneath. And yeah, I just enjoy how the run game is continuing to look. This tandem, I mean, they just, kind of take turns just beating up on that front seven on the opponent's defense. And Goff has just been surgical. I think he had like 4 incompletions, 3 touchdowns, 260 yards. Even Tesla got involved. As somebody might see, here's Khalif Raymond, is out. It might be out after taking a nice little shot, returning a punt, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
heard he's gonna be. I don't know how long, but I heard he. I did think I heard he's gonna be out, or
yeah,
more than likely. Yeah, and Tesla's one of them guys. Obviously, I was so hard on them. They seem to do a good job of at least drawing up targeted plays for him. Like I haven't seen him out there in just a long, sustained like whole series. Maybe you have. I feel like he's out there in like red zone. He's out there and this and that, you know. But
Yeah.
I say that once he's out there for let's say 30 plays and he's not out here just getting calls single to him, I want to see how he kind of settles in as just a full-time receiver and not just kind of like a gadget receiver.
Hmm.
And once teams know what's coming, it's going to be a little harder. Now, to have that to say, he's been looking very solid. So, and you talk about the weapons we have. It's hard to spread that wealth around.
Hmm. And
Every
he's
single
so
game, somebody's getting, yeah,
yeah, it's crazy how efficient his stuff is. It's like what, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns for like,
like 40
I don't
yards.
know, 80 yards. No, not I'm tripping, maybe like 50, 60 yards, you know what I'm like like
Yeah,
yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how his role grows and yeah, and I think, if you kind of just uh put a button on, talk about the Bengals, I mean, I think it was just a good way to just kind of tighten some stuff up. I think the defense, they did their thing. Like you said, everybody ate on defense too, it felt like. I mean, Kirby Joseph interception, you saw Brian Branch couple pass deflections, Jack Campbell 10-12 tackle. Jack Campbell got to tip the cap. I mean, he's been
right.
playing
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, he punching the ball out, really just like filling the gaps in the run game. He looks
No, he's
mobile.
looking damn solid. In Hutch, I screenshot the other day, but I think he has like 10 tackles, five sacks, and three forced fumbles or something. So I mean, like
Yeah.
he stats nothing too. Uh, it's good just to kind of see everybody kind of get back in jail. And then the best thing we
Yeah.
have going, we're gonna drop some dynamite on this, some juice on this mid-season when we get 2 or 3
I mean,
quality
McNeil.
starters back. Or
Pascal, Malik, Malcolm
Montgomery
Rodriguez.
or Rodriguez. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So you drop those 3 players after week 8 on a pretty solid damn team.
Hmm.
That's what we're missing last year, where we were calling dudes off the couch to see if they wanted to quit selling freight and come in and book or and come in here and try to book in to be the opposite side of
Yeah.
whoever. So a little different this year when we're going to get guys real starters back. So
Hmm.
and then
In a good
heading
spot.
heading into this week, another week where a month ago we thought we'd probably walking into the Lions den. We got Patrick Mahomes probably sitting there at 4-1 or something. Not so much what we thought. Not as quite advertised. Obviously, we know who they are, but
Hmm.
they are who we thought they were. Well, no, we know who they are, and it's just for me one of those things where on the road Sunday night, another primetime game. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid and company. I think the last time we were there, we kind of shocked the world that first week.
Yeah.
And so I think we're not going to be to sneak up on shock them as we did that year before. But all things considered, kind of what are your thoughts on this one? I know you're riding high, you're drinking the juice. So what you thinking? 40-7, 40 to no, but no. We kind of what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think this is one of them games where, you know, this is what you can talk about how Michigan has a certain formula they play against teams. You just kind of see similarly to where it just kind of works. And I think whatever we're able to do against the Ravens, if we're able to do something similar, just establish the run. Obviously they got a guy in Chris Jones, that's a good player, but he hasn't really been playing up to his caliber. Could you imagine you're going to get a good version of him because he's also all over Twitter about not really trying to tackle Trevor Lawrence on that last play. You can literally see him like walking toward Trevor Lawrence as his team is diving and scratching and clawing. And he was just like,
Not
yeah,
the best look.
but he was just like, we got to make that play, even though he's on film walking. So yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a big test for the O line, especially that interior O line. I'm sure he's one of them guys that can kind of line up wherever he wants. So he's probably gonna line up, on, with Manu or a lot of different times. If Decker
Right,
is a
right in front of Ratledge. Welcome to the league, rookie.
yeah,
Yeah.
so gotta be tight up there and. But I do feel like we'll be able to move the ball as long as we keep golf clean. St. Brown, extending drives. I think James Williams find a way to get him back more involved, take the top off. I think, and he's going to always have a impact that we're also not going to see either.
Yeah,
Like there's a reason why St. Brown is wide open. Like you start to see some of these cut-ups on Twitter, Jameson Williams taking off. He's got at least two to three guys always just like looking his way to where he's helping out Sam Laporta, Amon St. Brown, these screens to Gibbs, Montgomery, Tesla probably getting a little more action. Yeah, I think we're able to just kind of do what we need to on offense and defense. Hutch got to get him over Jawan Taylor. Get that matchup going where Juwan Taylor is, jumping out of that, jumping out of that stance and second too early, and just getting their offense out of whack. And yeah, I think that'll be just really the key to getting the job done.
yeah. I think this one's kind of an interesting matchup because I do think the Chiefs are kind of in the spot where this is probably a game where they're thinking we can turn our season around here. They're sitting there at 2-3. You do not want to go in 2-4. That sounds like a way worse. Probably not
Yeah.
making the playoffs. 3-3. Hey, you're right in the mix. A couple bad things happened for you. So I do
Mhm.
think this is probably going to want to go all out at Sunday night at home. They're coming off a pretty bad loss to an underwhelming Jags team. So I think we're going to get their best shot. I think this is a one on ones where they're probably sitting back thinking, I'm not sure who they play. Is it the Raiders? The Raiders after us. They probably thinking, okay, we get this one. We get the Raiders. We're sitting at 5-3 in a couple of weeks. So I say all that to say the team. I don't know. I think you made a good point with the Baltimore Ravens kind of game plan because if we can contain Lamar Jackson, we can damn sure contain Patrick Mahomes. But I think it's a different type of containment because I don't know. Lamar's game sliders, you're so scared to death he's going to take off on you that almost when he passes the ball for 15 yards, you almost get a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Mahomes lives on that scrambling just to get that 15, 12 yards down the field. And he's not probably going to take off and run too often on you. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a different element when you come to that. And I think that
And
means that,
Mahomes feels like a dagger three, where like Lamar is like a fast break dunk. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, as far as like the impact.
yes.
Like they both can kill you, but like that dagger three, that's when the coach, that's when you get the timeout call. Like, like that's like capping like 11-0 run. Like,
Yes. No, and then we got to make sure we keep all that in front of us and
yeah.
really keep them settled in and lock in and that's the defensive line being locked in. Um, just kind of minimize their run attack and kind of make them one dimensional. Easier said than done. And then kind of just the hard part, keeping everything in front of you as far as Mahomes, keeping them edges true, not going upfield, Hutch, just trying to get sacks. Play the sacks will come if you play your position right, not try to overly hunt and do too much. Because I think that's what Mahomes and Andy Reid pride themselves on. So I think this one is going to be it's going to be a tough one for us. I think. I think we have been riding high, and when you go and look at it, I mean they're sitting there at 2-3, but they got a 3-point loss, and then to the Eagles, and then that bad loss to the Jags. But
Yeah, they definitely there's some plays.
yeah,
They
I mean
about three plays
they're probably sitting there thinking,
5-0.
they're probably sitting there thinking they're minimum 2 or 3 plays away from being,
Yeah.
like you said, 4-1,
Like
5-0.
they lost Xavier Worthy the first drive of the first game of the season. So like there's a lot. So yeah, like not, and I mean I'm just I just think we can beat any team in the league. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this is still like the championship, like, they got that pedigree where they're starting to kind of
No,
finish some stuff.
don't get me wrong. I'm not calling for us to lose. I'm not calling for us to lose. That was just me scared to death for the Lamar thing. But I think
No,
we are going to have to play a very clean, sound game on this one. I think we can't let the bridges get too big as far as, you know, too many Montgomery running back touchdown passes. Like we said we were going to get away from all the
yeah,
section shit. We said we were going to get away from all that. Let's not start feeling ourselves again. Let's stick to the
yeah,
bread and butter. 2 tight ends, I formation, pound this rock, play action.
oh yeah,
I don't want to see just kind of get too fancy. It's Montgomery touchdown this week. And then, in a couple weeks, we got Isaac Tesla running the Wildcat because he played quarterback.
Just because they were in Cincinnati. Just because they're back at this. But yeah. No, I feel you.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Not with you, though. I think,
Well,
yeah,
he
I think
threw a
it's
touchdown. He threw a touchdown. Is that it? He threw a touchdown versus
he's
the
throwing
Bears
two.
last year.
I think it was the Bears, like the Titans, one of the
Yeah,
two.
because
Yeah.
I thought it was versus the Bears because he played for them. I thought that's why we did that. I could be wrong on that. But
Yeah.
my
I
point
think
being, yeah,
Panay Sewell was the one that got the pass against the against the Bears
yeah.
on Thanksgiving.
No more of that. We don't need any
Yeah,
more of
we don't
that.
I don't want
Yeah,
to see that ever again.
yeah. Johnny Morton, delete that play. But
Yeah.
no, I guess I'll jump out first and say the score prediction. I think it's gonna be a pretty damn close one. I'm gonna go like I'll give us like probably the best. Let's say best game of the week. 31-28 walk off field goal.
Okay. Whew. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 31-27. I'm gonna go walk off touchdown.
I like it. Look,
Like, we'll be down 27-24, and somebody might, Zane Brown might break a tackle and just take off
dream.
with like a minute 15 left. Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much time to give the ball back to Mahomes.
We'll get they'll get a couple, they'll extend the drive a couple times and then Hutch will get
No,
in
he do
there.
that. We give it back, and then Hutch strip sack, 60-yard fumble recovery.
Yeah. No, for
Make it
real. No,
38-24. No,
yeah,
yeah,
but I think this is a game we built for. Sunday. Not looking forward to it, but waiting on what they say, waiting all day for Sunday night. That's gonna be one you might have to. I don't even drink coffee. Might hit a little espresso to just make sure I don't nod off mid third quarter like I have been doing.
no, yeah, no, yeah. Hit the espresso, and that hit out mellow out everything else you hit that day.
Yeah,
Good to go. It's but no, I'm looking for. I feel like our little clock isn't going off yet, so I don't know how much time we have left.
yeah.
25 seconds. Look at us. It's counting down under a minute.
I don't see it. I don't see the time.
We down to like 10 seconds. But no, you got anything else for
Okay.
the people?
No, that's all I got. Go Blue, go Lions. See y'all next week.
Yes, sir. Peace. We'll be back.